morning, everybody. We have a couple stragglers that, if they come in late, we'll get them in the room here, but we're not going to hold up everyone else while we wait for them. So thank you for coming today, and welcome to Loomis Lakeside Reed's Landing. I'm Josh, I'm the marketing coordinator here at Loomis Communities. This is Chance, who's our marketing manager here. We know nothing about real estate, so you don't want to hear from us because we'll give you all the wrong information. So we're going to turn to the professionals today. We have Joe Kelley, Christine Katzer, and Terry Douglas from Kelley and Katzer Real Estate. They are the experts on selling your home, getting it ready, staging, and getting the most value out of it. So we're going to turn things over to them because they know what they're doing and know what they're talking about. And enjoy. If you have any questions, make sure to ask. They're a wealth of information.
Thank you. Yes, we're happy to be here today, talk to everybody. We're a little short on our staging handouts. So we thought we'd just go over the whole process with you, how it looks from our end, getting you prepared. I know some people here might be moving next month, next year, or 5 years down the road. So we thought we'd run you through how our process works. And then we have Terry Douglas, who's an accredited stager, and also an agent with us that kind of talk about preparing your home. So the biggest thing we always tell our customers is we love it when you call us early. Even if you're not ready to sell your house this year or next year, and we like to come out to your house to find out as much information as we can and go over any suggestions we have for updates. So when we come out to your house, it's always good to be prepared with latest information on your home, on the age of the roof, how many layers is it, heating system, any updates recently, and most importantly for us, any thoughts you have on doing some renovations. So we go through, we take our notes, we get as much information as we can, and then we really go back to do our homework. And Christine can explain what we really look at to get to that value.
The main thing when we come out to your house is to get you prepared for the next steps, because this is a big step that you're making if you're thinking about selling. So when we come out and we do your market analysis, what we're going to be doing is taking down all the vital information that you're giving us, like how old's the roof, you know, about your heating system, do you have central air, you know, when did you renovate, you know, put in new windows, any information like that you're going to collect and give to us. We're gonna go back and we're gonna do a market analysis, and we're going to be looking at what's currently on the market, what is pending, and pending means that there's an accepted offer on the property. And then we look primarily at what's sold in your area. And we are comparing apples to apples, oranges to oranges. If you're living in a 1,200 square foot ranch, we're only gonna be looking at ranches. If you're living in a colonial, we're gonna be comparing only to colonials or two-story houses with the similar square footage, the number of bedrooms, bathrooms, garages. All that gets taken into consideration. And we look at if you have a newer kitchen, newer roof, did you do updates? And we kind of put it all together, and we put this into a report, and we go over all of that with you. Because we want to make sure that we properly price your house. Because we have to satisfy you as a seller. We have to satisfy a buyer. We have to make it attractive enough for them to want to make an offer. And we have to take into consideration that there's going to be an appraisal on your property. So properly pricing your house is going to be the key component.
We can't stress that enough. It's pricing is so important. The good thing is it's still a seller's market. You've seen things cool down a little bit since the height of the COVID real estate market. So inventory nationally is at 2.6 months supply. 6 months supply is a balanced market. So typically we've been seeing 3 to 4 months. Prior to COVID, during the COVID era of real estate, it's really been maybe 30-day supply. So even though inventory is catching up, it's still very, very low, which means home sellers have been able to maintain good pricing. Really haven't seen a huge impact, at least locally, on values. So pricing your house properly is so important, and getting your house ready is even more important. So at Kelley and Katzer Real Estate, we spend a lot of time on the pre-market work. As Christine mentioned, finding out exactly what your game plan is, making sure you understand the process from start to finish, and getting your house ready. And the reason we love it when people call us early, even though we can move very, very quickly, there might be things that you may want to consider. Painting is such a great investment. the market has definitely shifted. So the buyers that we're focusing on, they don't like picking up the toolbox or paintbrushes, nor did I when I was buying. They want everything done. So we're here to help guide you to make sure that, hey, it might be worth it to have a minor facelift or just do some painting or declutter. And before we kind of get into some of the market trends, Terry's who we bring in almost all the time on our market analysis to help sellers get their houses prepped. So she has a packet here for you guys to go through, and she'll explain, how she looks at a home, how buyers look at a home, and some of the tricks and tips for her home staging.
So home staging isn't new by any means. When we have guests over, we always try to neaten up our house and prepare it. Now you're just preparing your home for buyers to come in and be very attractive to your home. One of the biggest things is that we want to make sure that they stop at your home. So the outside of the home is huge, very important, especially this time of year. I know I've got dead grass all over the place, and we going out there and mulching, put on a new layer of mulch is wonderful. That just brightens up the outside. A couple of potted plants add a little bit of color to it. Then, I had a trick a couple of years ago, and I shared it with Joan and Christine, but when I go into a house, or if you go into your house, there's a trick. From the door, take a picture of your room. So you're there at the corner, you take a picture. Now look at that picture, and now what do you see? Do you see cables on the floor? Do you see a crooked bedspread? Do you see crooked lampshades? Are lights missing, light bulbs missing? The picture really tells it all. And I think sometimes if we think, I know a lot of times like, oh, my house looks great. Not really. But listen, today we just took care of the grandkids yesterday, so it's like a disaster. But if you took a picture, it's like, oh my gosh, you just don't realize how many things are just off a little. And the picture is what is drawing the people in from the MLS listing. We have a professional photographer that comes out and takes the pictures, but we want those to be as nice as what we can possibly get it to. I'm gonna go through. First thing that we do, or that I would tell anybody to do, is declutter. You're moving anyway. So take some boxes, and if you're gonna save some stuff, put it in a box. Gonna donate some stuff, put it in another box. If you're gonna toss, now's the time to do it. Now's the time to do that deep clean. How many things are you taking with you? There's so many times I go into a house and I think, why are all these boxes here? Why is all this stuff here? Why, are they keeping it for their children or their grandchildren or whatever? And we have a raised ranch, so we don't have any storage space. So every room has a purpose. It's still, I'm not saying we're perfect by all means, but we just don't have a ton of boxes, a ton of storage in there. So we have to be really careful. If we're shopping, just because I like a piece, if I like a piece, I gotta go home and get rid of a piece because I just don't have any more room in that house. So tossing, maybe getting a dumpster is really not a bad thing to do. We're gonna be doing over our garage and we've got a dumpster coming. So, again, you're gonna be moving, you might as well start moving, packing it up, maybe putting extra stuff in a pod. A lot of moving companies will give you a pod, maybe for like 30 days, you put it in your driveway and put all your extra stuff in the pod so you can concentrate on the rest of the house without all of the other extra stuff in there. First place we wanna look is the kitchen cell. So even if you're not doing anything to the kitchen, the biggest thing that you can possibly do to get that buyer to really like your kitchen is remove the clutter. My counter has, the food processor, the toaster, the this, the that, the knives, and now all of a sudden somebody comes into my house and said, she doesn't have any counter space. So I would remove everything that you possibly could, maybe keep the coffee pot. So now when somebody comes in there and say, oh, you're a coffee drinker, this is great. the stuff on top of the refrigerator. I know I got a basket up there with, you know, the snacks and all of that. That shows the buyer that you don't have enough space in your cupboard. So that's an automatic turnoff when they start seeing all of this other stuff. People come into your house and they want to make sure, they want to live the way that you're living, especially if it's nice and neat and bright colors, and you're like, hey, I want to live there. I want to be like that person. Living room, a lot of times, we all do it. I'm doing it now. I have an oversized couch, and then I have another couch. But it fits my family right now. You know, it's something, I'm living there. It fits, you know, my kids, my grandchildren. If I were to sell it, pieces would have to be removed because it's too big for the living room. Right now, I'm living in it now, so I really don't care. But if I needed to sell the house, I'd have to back out some of that. It just, you know, it's not as symmetrical as I would want it. It's not as neat as what I want it. I would have to come in and do some work. I would have to take my homework, do some of my stuff here. A lot of times too, people just put, if you've got a big room, a lot of people just put all of this stuff all around the walls. And what you really want to do is make some, like, you know, if it's a big room, make a conversation area over here, and then this space over here is great so you can converse with the other person over there. Make it cozy. Make it a little bit more than instead of just, there's the couch, there's the couch, there's the table. So just want to make it a little bit more cozy. Closets. As much as you think people aren't going to walk into your closets, they do. They walk in, they will look inside your closet to see how big it is. And if you have overstuffed clothes and their first impression is, too small for me. This is too small for me. So if you go through, thin out your clothes, organize your clothes, and now when they open up the door and they say, oh, nice and neat. This is perfect. This is awesome. I have, you know, plenty of space. Even though it's just an illusion. I mean, people just really feel that if your house, your closet is just overstuffed, that it's going to be overstuffed for them and they won't have enough room. And my husband is sitting here and he's thinking, oh yeah, your closet is a disaster. And I do. What I do is, like, once a year, I'll take everything out of my closet and throw it on the bed. Everything. And then I put back, and I put back, and I put back. And I usually, I'm so good when I do it. But I do black, gray, you know, and then so it's all color coordinated. It looks perfect. Another trick, but I've read before, is if you put everything in with the hangers going backwards, and so then in a year you see all the hangers are still going backwards. Those clothes you haven't worn in a year, so get rid of them. But I haven't done that either. Bathrooms, another big area. Sometimes all it takes is maybe taking out the old mirror, putting in a new mirror, putting in new fixtures, making sure the bathtub is spotless and recocked, nice fresh look. Maybe it's painting the vanity, changing out the hardware. You know, sometimes a little bit of work just updates the place and makes it look really stunning. Basements and attics and garages. That's my downfall. That's my garage. If you've got another space that you can throw down a rug and a game table, like down in your basement or something, people all of a sudden think, oh, this is great. My kids can come down here and watch TV, or they can come down and play games and not bother, you know, everybody else while we're, you know, having turkey dinner. It's just an idea. But basements, garages, and attics, if you can just organize a little bit, and we know, everybody knows you've got stuff. You know, that stuff you can put in the storage units at the, you know, at the end. But if there's any bit of space that you think, we could do this. Area rug, we've done it how many times? Area rug, card table, you know, put chairs around and put a checker, you know, game of checkers on there, and people will look and say, oh, you know, this is good. I'll send the kids down here.
Lucky teddy bear.
And the lucky, yes, okay, so I have this big, huge teddy bear that's mine for staging, and I'll sit him in a chair. He looks so cute. But, big thing, cleaning. We go into so many houses and you see the light switches are dirty, the door handles are dirty, they're, the kitchen cabinets were used, and we don't think about it. We just don't think about it. We use it on a daily basis. But you get somebody new that is going to dissect your home, they're gonna look for this. And, all it is taking, just cleaning it off. I'm trying to think of that. Mr. Miracle? No.
Yeah,
The
sponge or whatever.
Yeah, what is that?
Mr. Clean.
Thank you. Something, okay. And just cleaning it off. People look, people look, and it just really helps out. One of the biggest things is the windows. If you can get a company out there to wash the windows inside and out, they wash the screens, wash the windows, you open up the drapes, the sun comes in, it makes a huge difference when selling your home. It really does. And there are some companies that do it rather inexpensively. They'll have like a two-man team, one in the front, inside, one on the outside, and they get it all done. We had it done a couple of years ago, and it was like, wow, I can't believe how much sun is coming through. We all have a wall like this, or several walls, and this is all of our grandchildren and our children and our neighbors' kids, and everybody that we know, and it's all up on walls, every place we go. I'm guilty of it too. I love my kids. So, well, some of them. So when a buyer walks into your home, they're gonna walk in and say, oh, this is beautiful, this is lovely, love the floors, love the ceiling, love the, walls, and then they'll start going over and start looking at your pictures and start looking at the people in the pictures saying, I think I know them. I think my kids graduated from school with them. And they lose focus on the beauty of your home. We don't want them to get distracted at all. We want them just to come in and look at your beautiful floors and look at the the walls and look at the space instead of the things in the space and the pictures up on the wall. And we get distracted all the time. And of course now with Facebook anybody can go in and figure this out, but not when they're looking at your house. We want them to just look at your house and get the best impression of your house as they possibly can. Checking your colors. Right now, the newest, it was gray for a while. If you're thinking of repainting, if you've got something that is kind of bold and bright, and if we go in and say, maybe you should paint it. The newest colors now are going back to the creams. That's a really nice color. The whites, but it looks really nice and clean. Gray is still great. The taupes are still nice. I guess we're kind of shying away from the teals and the reds, which I absolutely adore. But again, I would have to do some painting before I sell my house. And the last thing to look out for, and this is the smell of your home. We cooked onions last night. I went out, took the garbage out, came in, and it's like, oh, it smells like onions. But you really need to be aware of the smells. It could be pets, if you've got pets. This guy, and you, they'll go in and say, oh, there's something living here. If you've got rugs, yeah. If you've got rugs or draperies on the wall, if somebody was a smoker in the house, it's really good to eliminate all that smell, because you walk in that door, that's the first thing that it's gonna hit you, is the smell of the home. So whether it be candles or fresheners or getting rid of some of the upholstered stuff, the smell lingers in carpeting, it lingers in the draperies, it lingers in the upholstered furniture. So, if someone, and it's hard to say, gee, your house kind of smells, but if you've got an animal, there may be an animal smell in there. If somebody is really allergic, or even if they're not allergic and they don't like animals, they'll come in, they'll see a pet dish and think, oh, there's a dog here, or that dog probably peed someplace, or, you know, they come up with their own conclusions, even though, you know, it may be something totally different. So that's all I have. This is like 100% of what I would love to see every home. Like I said, my home is not like this. I would have to do an awful lot of work. It would take me, I don't know, if I did like 2 days for each room, it would take me quite a while, but I know what I would have to do. I don't think I'd have to call in these guys and say, what do you think I need to do? Except for maybe the paint colors downstairs, but if you have any questions, feel free to, yes.
I do.
Yeah.
I bought my house in southern Maine October 2020, and didn't have an opportunity. I don't think the sellers had to do any work.
Yeah.
So are we saying that you have to work again?
So you can definitely sell it as is.
Yeah.
There's no, you don't have to, I mean, Terry kind of went through the whole gambit. We can sell your house without doing a thing, but it's amazing if you just do a couple of things, you know, like from a decluttering standpoint. Our biggest goal is to get a seller to look at their own home as if they're a buyer. And that's why I love Terry's trick there that I always steal. You take that picture of a house. It's unbelievable. You can stare at that room. Well, this is great. I got my big comfy recliner, my dog bed, life is good. You take a picture of it, you'll notice, boy, those drapes haven't been touched in a long time. It's pretty cluttered. There's a lot of items in that room. So our goal is to help you stand out. It's not a requirement by any means.
Yeah.
But in 2020, yes. I mean, you could, you know, we barely got the for sale sign in the ground. We're changing it.
Yeah.
We had to beg or overpay or as a
Yeah,
buyer, you
yeah,
know, and
yeah.
there was no chance.
Yeah.
And the seller didn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, just sit there and collect the money.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm curious is like, for instance, when it is time for my mom to sell her house, she's been in the house for over 50 years. And it's not, we're not gonna invest, it's not worth the investment.
Yeah.
But the value of the property
Yeah.
is still good, but I mean, it's not something that we're gonna wanna
And there's so many,
do all that, so I guess we could probably do the simple things, right?
yeah, and that's what I would do, is come in and say, you know, maybe if you move this to the garage and move this a little bit and took this down. Yeah, I mean, that's the last thing I wanna do, is completely change the way that you're living. But sometimes, I mean, this is going,
At
yes.
least clear out the clutter at bare minimum.
With every
And
penny.
clean it, yeah,
With every
yeah,
penny.
you know.
So the pods, they hide all the sins. So I take my own advice. When I sold my house, the wife and I took all the clutter, all the stuff that we put in the pod. And the place was great. The show ready. We took the kids out for the day for showings, and we try to coordinate that as well. We try to get it, you know, figure out a big weekend. So we get all our photos done. The house looks perfect. We get that big weekend. We know we don't expect you to live in the house like a museum, but the pods are a great way to do it. What was unfortunate for me is we moved, we unpacked, everything was great. We had plenty of space. My wife informed me that we didn't unpack the pod yet. So unfortunately, I carried all my junk with me. I didn't go through it like you should, but it's a good way to stand out. So let's say a scenario like your mother's house there. It's amazing what just doing some decluttering, like slip covers. A lot of times Terry stages within the home. It's just moving a chair here, taking out a few pieces. We had a property recently in West Springfield one of our agents had, and it was an estate, and they got everything out, but we told them which furniture to leave. They painted the sunroom because it was in rough shape, and they had a broken up tile floor in the basement, but the basement room was finished. So, and we have all these people, you know, we have plumbers, carpenters, carpet people, painting. He spent maybe, the sunroom was bad, so he fixed up the sunroom, painted it, spent maybe $800 on carpet in the basement, unbelievable. So he spent maybe a few $1,000. We got $20,000, $15,000 over list, and we priced it a little on the high side. And again, you came into it, even though the house probably needs to be updated all around, everything was very decent, it was well cared for. We took furniture out, we moved furniture around, we put nice carpeting in the basement. It wasn't the most plush carpeting, but it was enough to give someone the idea, and that got him top dollar.
The house was clean too, clean cells.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that's very important, you know, in that case, that house was very clean. You know, like your mom's probably been in her house for 40, 50 years.
50, huh?
What?
How long have you been in your house?
Yeah, it's around, 50.
About 50 years. So in 50 years, you have a lot of wonderful memories within those walls that you've collected. You know, you've got your furniture, you have things that may have been passed down to you. So it's hard to let go of that. So what we're going to try to do is maybe introduce you to someone that does estate sales. You know, if your children don't want some of those special pieces that you have, we have people that handle estate sales, and that can help you, you know, get a little bit extra monies in selling those furnishings.
When it's time for
When
you
it's time to
Yeah.
to
sell.
sell your house.
Yeah,
Not
so,
pushing you, but when it's time for you to sell the house.
yeah, you're not alone in this. We're
Oh
here
my
to help
gosh.
and guide you
Yeah.
through the whole process, so it's not overwhelming. And, because, you know, Joe just sold his house, so he knows what it's like, you know, he had to pack up the 2 kids and, you know, put some of their toys away and things like that. So it's all, whether you've been in a house 50 years or 5 years, it's still a process. And we're here to, you know, help you navigate through all of that, so it's not overwhelming.
I'm glad you brought up your experience in 2020. So we are in what's called a shifting market, what we refer to as a shifting market. So prior to the COVID marketplace, we always would tell sellers to follow the interest rates. We get questions all the time, when's the best time to sell? We always say, when you're ready, we'll be ready. Historically, the spring and fall were kind of the big times to sell, but with the interest rates the last decade, we've had some incredible winters because the rates would drop, or some summers. So a lot of it depends on your house. Like if you have a giant hill for a driveway, it's a spring summer sale. You know, we're not putting that out in November. Or if you have a beautiful garden, a pool, and you really want to maximize it. But the biggest thing that we spend so much time on is making sure you understand the process. You know, if you're getting ready to come here, I know there's a waiting list sometimes, and you have so many days or so many months to commit to it. So we work with home sale contingencies all the time. That's why we love it when people call us early. And that way we get in there and you don't have to do a thing, but we're still gonna give you all the options and give you prices. Our goal is to think 2-3 steps ahead. So let's say you have a house, we had this at another seminar, I wanna sell it as is. No problem, and we price that appropriately where buyers are gonna understand that, see the value in it, see the potential in it, and then make strong offers. And for some people, there's a value not to do anything. You know, but we want to be able to, like Christina and I come back after we've had Terry come through and we present our market analysis. You know we have home sales within your area. You know, we go back a year. You really want to focus on the last 3 to 6 months in a changing market. And we show you what our opinion of value is. And let's say the house is worth $300,000. So we're going to focus from $250,000 to $350,000. And we're going to have probably 3 to 5 comparable sales. I refer to them as comps, that are truly compared to your house. They're similar in square footage, going back to your 1,200 square foot ranch scenario. They're gonna be within 200-300 square feet. And we're also gonna have a couple of comparable sales on the side that show why it's not worth $350 or why it's worth more than $250. So we make sure that you're truly informed on the market. As much as I love to, I mean, Zillow's great. As much as I complain about Zillow, you get a rough idea on it, but it's not a true opinion of value on your home. Because Zillow doesn't come through your house. It's an algorithm that resets every night at midnight, and it takes in every house that's sold. But we're going to focus on ranches, colonials, square footage, locations. You know, if it's in Springfield's huge. So I mean, we're going to look at different areas. So by the time you're done with us, there's no commitment until you sign with us to sell. We've come out to your home. We've given you professional advice from a accredited stager. You know, you've had 2 of the brokers of the company. We've given your opinion of value on your home, the process in the market. You're in great shape. So whether you're going to sell down the road a couple of years from now, just call us. Hey, Joe, Christine, Terry, how's the market looking? Anything really changing? And we can shoot you an email. Hey, here's a couple of sales that popped up in your neighborhood. So it's really important to understand the pace of the market. So it's definitely has slowed a little bit from 2020. You know, the average market time is about 36 days. Inventory again is still depressed, still low. That's what's keeping values up. Interest rates are up and down. So, I mean, you're about 6 1/4, 6 1/2 is the national 30-year average. For a mortgage, we have local lenders at 6%, 5.5 to 6%. So it really varies, but we're still busy. I mean, the market's definitely active, but with inventory slowly picking up, it does make a difference if you do a few things to get your house ready, especially the curb appeal. So I'm sure everybody here has gone on Zillow, gone on Realtor.com. You put your house on the market, we're doing that too. So you have buyers that can drive by your house, see how it looks from the outside. We always do professional photography, drones, videos, the whole 9 yards. So if you're not showcased well online, and Terry's other half, Tony, who's here, he does all of our marketing, our website, social media. So we really make sure you stand out on those sites, which is really important.
I got a question on your, not dumpster, what am I saying, the pod, yeah. Is that something that should be filled up and removed, or concealed, or de-emphasized
Yeah, I mean,
to the public, or should you just leave it in the driveway or something?
there's nothing wrong leaving it in the driveway. I mean, it's almost common now that we see that. We do try to coordinate with photos, so nothing gets listed unless it passes the Christine Katzer test. So she reviews all of our listings, she's the wordsmith in the office, the photos. We do try to coordinate just to get the outside photos done, but keeping it in the driveway is no problem.
I think sometimes people have grown accustomed seeing a pod. And we've taken pictures with the pod in the driveway, and I immediately called Terry and Tony and said, can you work your magic and Photoshop that out? And we've been able to do that, because ideally, when you look at that picture, we want them to focus on the house, not on the pod. So I try to see if it can be photoshopped out. But if you can't, then I think people have grown accustomed to it. So I know that really doesn't answer your question, but we can work around it.
Well, I think what you're saying is probably not something you want to emphasize or publicize, but I would think the companies that do that rent them, would also offer a service to come over and pick it up and take it off-site for a period.
Yeah.
They do, but there is a fee involved.
And that's where they get you, 'cause it's not expensive to get it, it's the transportation.
Yeah.
So like Bird Hill Movers, they're excellent, they're one of our preferred movers that we recommend. They can take it off-site and store it. The national brand, actual pods, pods.com, I don't believe they store it, they will move it to the new house. So, like I said, it's not a detractor, we just make sure our marketing doesn't see it. We don't see it from a marketing standpoint, but we've sold it, my house, I had the pod in the driveway, I had my photos done, people get it, so I
They
wouldn't.
have storage places where they take them.
Yeah, they'll come,
I have a
pick it up.
daughter that lived in Boston, and she moved to New Hampshire, and yeah, they come and took hers, and they have a warehouse where they'll keep them for you for
Yeah.
6 months, 3 months, 2 months, a year, whatever you need.
Yeah.
And they'll deliver it.
Yeah, you can't, if they're gonna move with you, there's discounts and different things you can ask for. But it goes a long way. I mean, if you just walk through your house and put that buyer's hat on, the other thing we always love is just get if you have white trim, get a gallon of like white paint. So the week of photos, just walk around, hit all the trim, like Terry mentioned, doorknobs, just the scuff marks you get. I mean, it makes
Put it
it,
on our list.
makes a
On
big
our
difference.
list, the white paint,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just the little things. I mean, it goes a long way. We did still do this during the 2020, 21, 22, even though it's so quicker. The more pristine it looked, buyers would either waive inspections, offer more money. We never recommend people to ever waive inspections, and that's somewhat going away now. But again, if your house is pristine and there's a comparable home that needs more work, that might reflect in the value. Or if you get multiple bids, now you can really name your terms. And the biggest thing that we stress with sellers, I know price is important, price is paramount, but the details, especially today, are as important, if not more important than your actual value. So if you get a buyer selling your house in as-is condition, are they buying it cash? What type of financing it is? So you have a conventional mortgage, which most people have probably heard of. Great mortgage, nice, clean, vanilla buyers. You have FHA and you have VA, Veterans Loan. So great programs, great lenders, they're government-backed mortgages, but there's a few extra steps to them. So when we sit down and look at the offers, we want to tell you exactly what offer A has, offer B has, and offer C has. Now let's say it's an FHA loan. Well, if it's an FHA loan, you can't have any chipping or peeling paint. You have to have handrails where needed. Their roof and heating systems have to have at least 3 to 5 years of life on them. So we negotiate it, we accept the offer, it's FHA, we get through the home inspections, everything's great. When the appraiser comes out, as Christine mentioned, we have to satisfy you, the consumer, the seller, at price realistically where buyers will make an offer, then we have the appraisal. Now, we always make a requirement at Kelley and Katzer Real Estate, we meet the appraiser. We're always at the home inspection, we're always your eyes and ears. So we meet the appraiser. So depending on who the appraiser is, if it's an FHA appraiser, they do scrutinize that. So let's say you've already gone past inspections, but you have a shed in the back and it's chipping and peeling paint all over it. You have no handrails going up or down the stairs. You have to do those. The appraiser will make the report subject to these items being fixed. And that's why, again, we focus on the details so much, is that we try to push that back on the buyer. Before you take an FHA loan, we want the buyer to take on the first $1,000 or the first $1,500. Same with the VA. If it's a veterans loan, which we'd love to see, it's really a great product for the veterans that have served. You do have to cover the termites. So you have to pay for the termite inspection, which is roughly $100. So again, when you're making a decision with us, we always think 2, 3, 4 steps ahead. So, you know, an offer that's a little bit more money, but it has a few strings attached, might not be the best option versus this cash buyer, and you know, maybe they waive inspections or they have a closer timeline. Or if they have a house to sell. If they have a house to sell and they're making an offer on your home, you're trying to come here, that's not going to be an ideal situation. Yes.
We have a very old house, it was built in 1860. And Zillow says we only have 2 bedrooms, because one of the bedrooms doesn't have a closet, it's in the hall. So what would that, how would we say the bedroom?
So Zillow's gotten better. When Zillow first started, they only pulled data from public record and town cards, which is usually very inaccurate, because if the assessor's not coming through your house or not updating their system, that's what Zillow's pulling. So you need 3 things for a bedroom. It needs a minimum square footage, a closet, and it needs to be set up where it makes sense. So if it's off a hallway, not plopped in off a kitchen, you don't necessarily need all 3 except for the square footage. So you don't need a closet to be considered a bedroom. We just have to disclose there's no closet.
What we could say is bedroom closet is in the hall. So, you know, we've kind of danced around that too, to make it, you know, that it's right there. So,
What about books?
We-
Remember,
Good
it's not
question.
boarding if it's books.
We should have wrote that. There's a place in East Hampton, somebody just mentioned to us, that takes all kinds of books. So, but that's where we come in and help you find out, man, what do you need help getting rid of? Like, we have a lot of estate sale people that can come in there and they can sell items for you, value them, help you get rid of them, you know, help donate them. But yeah, we can definitely help on that end.
There used to be, I don't know if they're still around, there used to be like book drop places
yes.
where you can, kind of like old clothing, you know, you can use clothing, you can throw all your books that you don't want in there and they would try to resell them. I guess they recycle them after that,
Yeah.
so I don't know if they're still around.
And there was a place in East Hampton, I did write it down. You can always, want to reach out to us, call us, text, or email, we can get you that information.
There's a used bookstore that recently opened up in Agawam, and they accept books there
Where
too.
is that?
On, Walnut Street Extension. You know, where, like, Valley Bank used to be, and, what was it, Food Mart?
Yeah.
It's not that little street there, it's
Oh.
a used bookstore, loaded with books, but I know that he takes in books.
Well, I'm still reading, so.
That's right.
I just wonder if any of your advice or thoughts are different for condos than for standalone houses?
So the biggest thing with condos, with the reports, you really want to focus on the complex. So not that you can't go outside of your complex for a comparable, appraisers try to stay within the complex. So we definitely a little more particular as far as pricing goes. But again, still the same on the inside, still the same information. The biggest thing we pride ourselves on with condos is, again, thinking ahead. Anytime you transfer a condo in the state of Massachusetts, you need a 6D certificate. So it's basically a receipt you get from your board that states this is the actual condo fee, there's no pending assessments, and you're paid through closing. It's typically $50 to $75, takes about 2 weeks to get. So it's always important, so let's say you're closing April 15th, you have to pay the whole month of April to get that 60. They call it a clean 60, nothing's owed.
And then what would happen is that you would be reimbursed at time of closing for the money that you've spent for the whole entire condo fee.
Yeah.
And that, as Joe said, that 60, you know, is, you pay for that, that's part of your closing costs. So, but, you know, and then looking at the whole complex is, you know, they look at the recent sales because they're usually all similar. That's why they don't like to look outside the complex. So, that's a good question, and which brings up that you're gonna have closing costs as a seller too. You know, you're gonna be, you know, having to pay Massachusetts tax stamps, which are $4.56 per thousand. And that's based on the sale price. And, it's a one-time fee, but that's collected at time of closing. So, you know, just, you know, keep that in mind, and then attorney representation.
Yeah, so we have a pricing sheet, I don't know if they're in our packets, so we have a seller's guide, but we also have a pricing sheet. If it's not in there, when we come out to the home and present, we go over all the expenses, so. The tax stamps, again, that's just the cost of doing business in Massachusetts, it's not income tax. We have the commission, we have the smoke certificate, it's typically $50. It ranges from 30 to 50, but most places are 40 to $50. Attorney fees, we talked about tax stamps. Recording fees, if you have a mortgage, they have to get the mortgage discharged, a few $100s in fees. So, I mean, it does add up, but that's why we always make sure, you know, we give you a range, especially if you're looking to make a move somewhere else. We give you our opinion of value in a low-end range and a high-end range, and we do all the expenses right there for you. So that way you have a rough idea. I mean, attorney fees will vary depending on who you use. We try to give you a rough idea, especially for like a condo, it'll be a little bit more. Condo docs, so we make sure we have the latest current condo documents. They usually charge you $100 for that, but that usually includes the 60 at some associations. So we make sure by the time we go to market, you have your expectations managed as far as activity, how we're going to set this up, what your expenses will look like, what your bottom line will look like, and we're very transparent. So anytime we get an offer, we automatically send it off to you, but we do sit down, we do go over every single offer with you. We just try to get you information in real time. We also track everything, so we want to know exactly where leads are coming from, so I get a weekly report from our web designer at the table here, where we're seeing the action coming into our website. We also record all the showings, so the record of the showing, we don't record the actual showing, so we know exactly who's in your house, what was the feedback. Even if the feedback's negative, we still like to hear it, because it could be something simple that we could change, or if a lot of people keep saying it, or if it's the price, then we know we have to make some adjustments. So we look and listen at everything when we list the house.
What are your rates? Are this 6%? Is that still normal?
Yes, we typically see. I mean, they vary anywhere from 5 to 6%, depending on the situation and everything else. We also offer a lot of other extras depending on the scenario. You know, if you need work done or certain things done, you know, we can help facilitate that.
Yeah.
But typically, it's 5 to 6 is what we see
For the
around
standard, and then.
here.
And we do all types of, you know, photography and social media campaigns and drone shots with the photography. And we make sure that your house is well represented on all social media platforms, because that's where it is right now.
And we cover those costs,
Yeah.
so no surprises with us.
Now, does it matter which Loomis home you choose?
Oh, no, that's for these folks here.
Yeah, we'll be giving some tours afterwards of some different style apartments for those that might be interested.
They're realtors when you sell your house,
Oh, okay.
but they're gonna talk for Loomis.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
No problem.
You got it, Mom?
is the 5 or 6% kind of standard, or does that vary, like if you shop around, is there a lot of variance in that? You probably get what you pay for, but.
Yeah, I mean, so you get a few options. You can sell it yourself, you know, you can go for sale by owner. Historically, 8 to 9%, you get more with a realtor than selling for sale by owner. Then they have some limited service brokerages. We don't see a whole lot of them. A lot of them kind of went by the wayside 8 months ago, or 8 years ago, you know, that are lower, but you do get what you pay for. I can't speak technically for other companies, but we always been kind of between the 5 and 6% range. We usually do a sliding scale at our company. The biggest thing is you want to make sure, you know, you pay that one fee. So we pay out part of our commission to the buyer side, whoever sells it, and we do a lot of different extras. So I'm sure if you shop enough agents, you know, you may find someone that wants to do a discounted fee. But I mean, again, they don't get, you get what you pay for. With the local company, like Kelley, Katzer Real Estate, we cover a lot for our agents, so we make sure no matter who you use, you're getting the same experience across their platform.
Is a lot of that stuff in here? What you
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have a chance to look,
Yeah.
but there's like a sheet with all your
Yes.
services that come with, okay.
And we have the guide in there too. Some of the big box companies or national brands, they rely heavily on the brand. Everything's a level playing field. This is where I talk nicely about Zillow. Because of Zillow and Realtor.com and Trulia, everybody's got national or global exposure going online. But they don't offer these services. They make their agents pay for it. So if you just have a standalone agent, they may not do the professional photography. They may charge you for that. So that's really the difference. Like when we price your house comparing apples to apples, it's always good to compare agencies apples to apples and what's included.
I have to ask this, lately you see on TV all of these guys that buy your house as is. I don't know, something with Sam and there's Blue something, and there's more and more of these. My assumption on that is it makes it kind of pain-free for you, because you don't have to do any fixing up, but you probably don't get as much as you would if you really did that stuff, correct?
Correct. So we buy houses. So we don't publicize it, but we do buy houses. That's what our biggest thing is. We want you to know the true value of your home.
Right.
So we have begged people to go to market versus selling to us. I mean, there is a value to selling it as is and everything else. But you want to make sure you're getting the right value for your home, and there's no other fees. So the big brands, the big companies, I did it for my house because I was curious. I wanted to see what they would pay. And it was like, you don't need a realtor, we'll get a cash offer. It was like 7 or 8% fees. It was unbelievable.
Wait a minute, I don't understand. What do you mean 7 or 8% fees?
So a lot of these companies will say, hey, we can sell your house without a broker, we'll give you a cash offer.
Oh, but they
And
charge
you
you
save
some
the fees, and you look
percentage.
at their fees.
Yeah.
You know, it was like
Oh.
7,
So
8%.
you're saving our fees, but you're getting their fees.
I got 50 grand or 60 grand more. So I just did out of curiosity. So yeah, there is an advantage to getting a quick cash sale. The best thing we always tell our customers, you don't truly know until you go on the market. If any hesitation, you go to market, and that opens you up to a lot more people. If you are looking for a quick cash sale or investor sale, we're still going to give you that value. Would it be like on the market? We give you a value if you sold it to an investor. And as Christina always says, we back into that value. So we're very knowledgeable on what it would cost to get it fixed up, what it would be worth on the resale value. So definitely call us before if you're thinking of doing that, because we'll tell you the true value.
Then you brought up a thing that I was interested in too, just as a curiosity. In the current, like the last year of home sales, I'm gonna do this without screwing it up. Like what percentage of home sales were like the families that were gonna live in the home versus investors or flippers or landlords, people that wanna rent the home? I mean, would you, is it like, is there a lot of those folks that do it as an investment? Or?
They do. So nationally right now, it's almost 50-50.
Really?
People, yeah. Stat just came out today from Bigger Pockets. So
Wow.
almost 50 people are renting. Sales wise, 10 to 15%. It's below 20%. We did see some months and some quarters where it pushed 20%. But locally here, I mean, it's predominantly owner occupants, or if they are investors or local investors. But we have seen, and this is where they manipulated the market. I mean, Zillow tried and failed. Again, my love-hate relationship with Zillow, doing their iBuying program. There's Redfin, there's a few other companies. And, you know, if they overpaid, you know, if they bought a house in 2019 and then bought a house in 2013, you know, they may sell an older house just to get the value. They may own a couple of houses in that neighborhood. So it's very interesting how they can help manipulate the market with what they want to do. But predominantly around here, it's going to be owner-occupant buyers.
And the other thing too is, you're gonna see on TV where, you know, someone says, you know, if we don't sell your house,
We'll buy
we'll
it.
buy it. You'll see that ad all the time. And the little catch to that is, what are they gonna buy it for?
Right.
You know, and a lot of times what they'll do is maybe get an appraisal on it or something like that and buy it for appraisal.
Usually it's below price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a percentage below.
It is, so there's always, you know that old saying, if it's too good to be true, it usually is too good to be true. So, you know, we're gonna do the best to represent you honestly and fairly. We're always gonna be looking out for you. And we have a personal commitment to you. Our names are on the sign. So, you know, we take a lot of pride in that, and being honest and fair is essential to us. Because you're making the biggest move now, you know, if you're thinking about coming here to Loomis and just being prepared. And that's what's gonna make it a lot easier for you, is being properly prepared. You know, we're throwing out a lot of things to you today, but we're gonna go over this with you every step of the way. We'll be guiding you and going over and over it with you again and again, so you're not in this alone.
There's a method to our madness, so we always make sure, and we present our market analysis, we always show you how we started it, where was our head at when we left your home, when we came back to present it. So every step of the way, and they have a phenomenal staff here at Loomis. So I mean, our biggest thing is we coordinate, we work together, you know, we can co-broke, we can deal with contingencies, but we wanna maximize value. Our job is to get you as much money as possible, that's realistic and a realistic timeline. So we're not looking just to, there's some companies that will grossly underprice your home and try to get 20 offers, and I've had buyers where I sold a house next door, and this other house on the state street came on. I said, this is worth $230 all day long. It was listed at $189.9. And she said, I can't live with myself paying 40 over. And the agent's like, oh, isn't this great? I got multiple offers over 200. Well, you priced it, you know, $50,000 under. So you want to price it right. Pricing's important. You want to be somewhat aggressive, but you want to price it right. You know, we don't like playing the games. You know, the value's the value. If you're between $299.9 and $309.9, we'll encourage you to be at $299.9. You know, we want to maximize exposure, the buyers and the offers.
And the other thing too is, once you start talking to, you know, friends and relatives that you're thinking about making a move, everyone's gonna be very opinionated on what you're doing. Everyone's gonna say to you, oh, this is what you should do. And, oh, I know how much your house is worth. So, you know, just smile, nod your head, but take your advice from a professional, whether you use, you know, Kelley and Katzer Real Estate or you use another company. Make sure that you know, listen to a professional, real estate professional, and not your hairdresser or your barber.
Not the professional painter.
Very important.
Did you feel as though it's going to be a seller's market throughout this year? Or with the way the interest rates, if they're going up, or?
I do. So prior to COVID, we would say follow the rates, follow the inventory right now. I think it's going to be another 12 to 18 months to see the inventory catch up. I think they brought us close to the breaking point with rates. I'm hoping that the federal board's smart enough not to push us over that. But we're still selling, we're still busy, even with these rates, because there's a lot of different options. But I think we'll be pretty good for this year. Next year, it's very hard to speculate. But the economists that we follow, National Association of Realtors, Zillow, Redfin, all these different real estate brokerages, they expect to be low single-digit appreciation this year, flat next year. We're also investors. As investors, I'm looking at 2 to 3 years out, where I think there'll be some softening in the market. You'll see more inventory, you'll see more price appreciation. I think for this year and maybe half of next year, it's gonna be kind of status quo.
Right now, we need the inventory. We need the inventory, and there's definitely buyer demand.
Sellers are in a good position right now.
Good position. The tricky part for sellers is that next step. So.
Do you need to spruce everything up for an appraisal, or is the appraiser smart enough to know, I don't care about the interior, I'm looking at the house, the bones?
They say that,
But they,
But no,
we give them, so we're always there. and depending on who knows him or her the best, it's Christine or myself, we bring that appraiser through as if we're showing the house. Even though they might,
So you really should
have
clean it,
listen.
I mean, it's gotta be kinda spick and span even for just the appraiser.
Yeah, you don't wanna totally relax until that appraiser has been through, you wanna keep it decluttered, you wanna keep it neat, just as if you were showing the house.
Yeah.
Um,
Is it typical for an appraiser to take photos?
yes, they do,
Yeah.
they do take photos.
Okay.
So they're required to photograph the house, the heating system, electrical panel, street sign, location. They also-
Interior and exterior both.
And they also have to personally photograph all the comparable sales they use. So they can't just take it off the internet, they gotta drive by there, take an outside picture.
And how does a layperson, get access to, recent equivalent sales? I'm thinking registered deeds.
The deeds, again, my love-hate back with Zillow. I mean, there is a lot of great data on Zillow or Realtor.com. You can find some stuff, but really, we have all the true sales.
Right.
You can go on the registry of deeds, but it's hard to know, okay, well, this house sold, like with your scenario, is it a two-bedroom house, that's what's listed?
No, you have to
Okay,
know
great.
kind of ahead of time.
So-
Like, I know this house down the road just sold about 6 months ago, so I'll go to the registered deeds to find. Cause Zillow and all of those realtors, they only list currently listed things, right? They don't list past stuff, do
You
they?
can pull them up, yeah, you can click on the house, and
Oh,
it'll
you
tell you what
can?
it sold for in the history.
Even if it's a while back?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Now,
They've
if
come a
that's
long
done
way.
once,
We're gonna give you that information when we come out,
Hmm.
so we're gonna provide you with that information. Let's say you're not going to be making the move to Loomis, it could take you, I know that they have a waiting list, so let's say it takes you a year. We would come out now, and then, again, 6 months from now, and we'll, and provide you with the data. Or we'll send you an update, whatever is gonna work for you and your own needs, that's what we're going to, be working with you towards, making sure that we meet those goals for you.
Could I just restate what I think you just said, because we're probably not gonna be selling over 3 or 4 years.
Yep.
So your, thinking right now is basically status quo for the next year and a half because inventory is so low. But after that, when inventory's caught up and interest rates are still high, then there's some concern.
Yeah, so hopefully the rates will come back down. I mean, historically, rates go up, prices come down to yin and yang, pretty consistently. I mean, I know Christine's been doing it over 40 years, so she's seen a lot of the different shifts. Right now, the hard part is it's really been a manipulated marketplace. It's not kind of, if you go back from the 80s when the rates were really high till now, there's a lot of money being pumped into the economy. I think rates will be back down in a few years. When the inventory comes up, it starts to shift, the buyers get a little more power. Well, you know what, there's 2 condos here, if I can't get my offer accepted, I'm gonna go to the other condo. So that's where I think things may change. The reason we bring up coming out early, not that you have to have us out early, but the nice thing about it is, let's say you're selling in 3 to 4, maybe even 10 years, but you might wanna do the roof. Like I had my good friends of mine's parents, they're staging there, and they put a roof on. We went through the house, what would come up at a home inspection. And not that we're inspectors or contractors, but the roof had to be done. They weren't gonna sell for 10 years, so it made sense. If they were selling next year, I would've said, don't do it. So they did it, like every couple of years, they would do an update, they'd call me, what do you think about doing this, what's the return look like? And that's where our expertise really shines.
This is the first marketplace that I've ever seen where the interest rates were low and the prices of the houses were high. Usually the interest, it usually switches off, when interest rates are high, the prices of the houses drop. We haven't really seen that. We're still selling homes, higher than what they were listed for. So it's a different marketplace.
Well, I don't know that you're gonna see the values of the houses drop when a hamburger is $8 at Burger King.
So
How can,
That's what's gonna be tough. There's so many factors between who's gonna be up next in the White House, what they're gonna do during the election, inflation, a lot of issues overseas. That's why it's always hard to speculate long term. But I agree, that's what's gonna be tough. Homeownership's still the best way to create wealth, still the best thing to do. it still makes sense to buy versus rent, although now it's getting closer with the current interest rates. But the biggest thing is it's still good to be a seller right now, but it really helps if you take a few extra steps to get your place ready and get ready for the marketplace. Because inventory slowly increases, as Christine was saying, that's when things, you get more options, and once those rates come back down, there's more inventory, it might be kind of a flat market. So prior to COVID, we would sell houses in the 30, 45 days, 1 to 3 offers maybe, you know, a couple open houses, and life was good. Sellers were still getting good pricing. We were seeing like 95 to 98% sale to list price ratio. And then when the inventory dried up, rates dropped, it was just wild west the last few years.
We had Excel sheets keeping, how many offers came in, what type of offer, it was like, presenting it to your buyer, you've got 30 offers, and these are your choices. It was difficult, it was fun, but,
It was a challenge,
Yeah.
for sure. But there's always going to be a need for housing. You know, whether you're going to be selling your house next year or 5 years from now, from what I can see, in our career, there's always going to be that need. And we're all going to have to adapt and work together. But, the most important thing is for you to be prepared. And like Joe was saying, maybe you wanna do some things now, to make your house more saleable. Check out your HVAC, check out your heating unit, your electrical. Those are the hearts and lungs of the house. Those are things that, buyers really key into. So, getting prepared is everything.
And basic maintenance, so replacing the heating system, maybe it's okay, if it's older, it's oil should be serviced every year. Even if it's gas, maybe you get it cleaned and serviced. So there's just different things that, once you have the home inspection, it's, everything's gotta be by licensed professionals, and it's a little bit more challenging. So the more you prepare, and you'd be surprised, a few extra things can go a long way.
Do you have any other questions? We don't wanna hold you up from your
I have
tour.
one, I'm not sure how important it is, but I'm just curious as to what you may know as far as the percentages, with the elderly selling their homes. Are elderly downsizing, and what are the percentages of them doing that, or are they going to assisted living homes, like over the past 2 or 3 years, or how? Is there any?
So it would be tough, there'd probably be a combination of us and maybe Loomis. The problem is, so the inventory got stagnant because of the baby boomer generation. So people were living longer, which is awesome. They were staying in their houses longer. I don't know what that would look like, how many go into assisted living or downsizing. I know the biggest thing that we've seen with our customers is they don't want any responsibility. They've owned the home for 40, 50 years, they're done. They wanna call these guys and say, this is what I want. So we do see, we probably, for our sales, I would guess maybe our sales are maybe 10% that are going in. We've had customers come here and in different places. I don't know what that stat would look like regionally or nationally.
But we do hear that often, that people wanna downsize, we hear it all the time. And there isn't enough for, over 55 to downsize to. So that's why, having a place like Loomis that takes care of everything, is in demand.
Yeah, so they still may be downsizing, but buying a smaller property instead of still not quite time to go into assisted living.
Yeah, we've had
Yeah.
some people buy some
Yeah.
condos, buy some ranches and different things, so it really depends on what they want for the lifestyle. The nice thing with condos is you shut the door when you're done, nice thing here too, you don't have to worry about it. But we've had some people start to make the climb, they get that big 4-bedroom colonial, the kids are gone, they're out, and they wanna downsize. We've also seen them pull a lot of equity out, and that's been the tough part for buyers, it's the cash competition. We've seen a lot of the baby boomers take out money and they're buying houses for their kids cash, kids are refinancing and paying them back, so. It's been a little stagnant, that's what's really held up the inventory prior to COVID. That's been our biggest thing, is the baby boomer generation, so. We do a lot of new construction too, and a lot of stuff we do is we base it on that generation. There's a big need for it.
And find too is that ranch style homes seem to be in great demand.
One floor.
One floor.
questions or?
Well, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you. Feel free to reach out. I appreciate that. We can always give updates on email, in person, by phone. And you have all our information on there. And if you have any questions after, we'll hang out for a few.
So feel free to ask some questions, keep meeting, we're not gonna rush you out. Chance will be heading off here in a few minutes, if anyone would like to see independent living here. And I'll be heading off if anyone would like to see what assisted living looks like. But again, keep meeting, we're not gonna rush you. If you have any questions, now's a great time to come on up one-on-one with our presenters and ask them.
Thank you.
And I apologize for my coughing. I have allergies very bad, so apologize.
Yes.